All right, we are going to do a 30-minute yoga sequence as a way to get started in this process. So you want your feet, toes, heels together. You want your shoulders to bring them up, drop them down, nice and strong. Have your chest opened up, arms out to the side. And I want you to take a deep breath in and out and feel where you're at in space. Just take note on how your body feels. One more deep breath in. How your mind is. Is it quiet? Is it loud? Do you need to take a moment to settle yourself? And then we're going to go ahead and bring our arms up over our head. You have your fingers into steeple pose. Make sure your shoulders aren't up by your ears. Drop them down so they're seated in that pocket. And then go ahead and forward fold. Hands to the ground if you can. And then hands up above your knees. You're going to do flat back. Take a breath. Forward fold back down. And then you can walk or jump it out into a plank. Rock forward so your shoulders are parallel with your wrist. And then drop down into a plank. If you can't do this, you can drop down on your knees. That's totally fine. So I'll show you how to do that. You can drop to your knees and then slowly lower into that plank. When you come to the floor, you can have your tops of your feet on the floor and press up. Stretch out that tummy. If you want to have more of an active pose, tuck your toes and have your legs active, whatever works for you. And then have that stretch back into plank. And go ahead and go up into downward dog. And since this is our first one and we are warming up our bodies, go ahead and walk your feet. I like to say walk the dog just because it sounds fun. Do a couple of those, get some movement. And then back to downward dog, into plank. And then I want you to step your left leg up towards your foot and your right leg up. Go into that forward fold again. And sweep your arms up to the sky, steeple pose. And then we're going to get some rotation we're going to get some side bends. So when you take a deep breath in, breathe in, and then reach to the side. I don't want you to hike your shoulders up. You want to try and stretch your back out. Back to center. Take a deep breath in, reach up, and to the other side. Back to center. Go ahead and only go as far back as you can control the movement, but look back and do a backward bend. You will get better at this over time. You just got to build up some of that tummy strength. Back to center. We're going to do one more, so take a deep breath in and out. Go ahead and stretch. Back to center. Deep breath in and stretch. Back to center. Deep breath in. Make sure you're not hiking your shoulders up and lean back. Only go as far back as you can control that movement and not hurt your lower back. And then arms down. And I wanted to do that just to warm up your back a little bit. We're going to go ahead and move to the floor for the next thing. So some of these are meant as a way to get your back and your shoulders and your hips warmed up, so when we're doing the flow, we're not completely miserable. So we're going to go ahead and cross your legs, sit down. If you need to move your butt cheeks, so you're sitting on the sits bones, do what you got to do. And then we're going to take right hand on the left knee, drop your elbow down so your elbow is touching the floor if possible. And then have your left hand on the back of your head. And when you breathe out, you're collapsed in, and when you breathe in, you're going to open that up, and then you're going to take a full breath with this side body opened, and I want you to breathe into these ribs. So you're trying to get a thoracic rotation, and you are also trying to create some space in your ribs where you can breathe a little bit better. So again, deep breath in, full breath up here in the stretched position, and down. You can do 3 to 5 depending on what your body needs, or more, whatever. I like this as a warm-up for thoracic rotation, and for a lot of people, because it is a little bit more intense when you are using this arm to anchor and hold yourself there. It can kind of force a little bit more of a twist and a stretch. So I really like that as an option. We can do some thoracic rotations during our yoga sequence, but it's always good to do it in kind of a controlled setting where you can manage where your breath is, and then also how you can manage that twist and make sure you're actually getting that twist. So for the next one, left hand on right knee, drop that elbow to the floor, right hand on the back of your head. When you're breathing out, you have that collapsed in, you're stretching your upper back, and then breathe in and have that rotation. Take a deep breath, breathe into your ribs and down. Breathe in, rotate and stretch, and down. Breathe out, breathe in. Have that. If you need to take another moment, take a couple breaths, whatever it takes to feel how you can breathe into your ribs and have that rotation. It's really important. Take the time that you need to feel where you're at in your body and make sure that these movements aren't painful and you can do them, because that's kind of our goal. And then the next one we're going to do is a 90-90. This is not a strict yoga move, but it is very good for helping to get some of that movement, and this is a mobility which impacts a lot of yoga stuff. And when you're wanting to do weight training, it helps with your ability to own the movement and go deeper in squats, stuff like that. So front leg in 90-90, your thigh should be parallel with your chest. The knee is a 90-degree angle, your ankle's at a 90-degree angle. The back leg, your thigh should be parallel with your torso. 90-degree angle for knee, 90-degree angle for the ankle. And then if some people, their mobility and flexibility is not that great, so they're over here, and that's okay. You want to eventually work to where you are seated tall, your chest is tall, and you are parallel. If it takes time to get there, that's fine. Every time you do a breath in, if you're over here, you want to take that breath and go up a little bit. Take a breath out, relax, go and then have that. Same thing with any other stretch, you're slowly building that capacity. If you can be seated up and forward, the next thing is making sure this knee, which I'm still working on, this knee is flat on the ground, and then only go as far as you can control and own this movement, but lean forward, and you're getting that little bit of stretch in the back hip and in the front hip. Do that 3 to 5 times, depending on how your body feels. And then you're not going to be able to see it very well, but your back leg, I want you to slowly work on the mind-muscle connection of trying to bring that left foot and ankle up off the floor. So if you need to lift it and have some of that teaching that muscle memory, you can do that. But do that 5 times where you're just working on activating some of that external rotation in that outer back hip. You'll feel it. Oh, you'll feel it. All right, if it's cramping, go ahead and take a break. We're going to switch legs. So again, the back leg or thigh should be parallel with your chest. 90-degree angle for the knee, 90-degree angle for the ankle. And then of course, if you're off to the side, we're working on sitting up straight. If you can sit up straight, you want that parallel for the thigh, 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle again, dropping that thigh or making sure your knee all the way back through your glutes is touching the ground. If you're not there, it's something to work on. And then 3 to 5 times, lean forward. Only go as far as you can own that movement and you feel that control where you've got the back hip, your tummy is controlled, and then that forward fold. These are really great for building into strength training, for working on yoga mobility. They're really great for some pain management. A lot of people will have issues with their hips and they think it's a lower back, or they'll have issues with their knees and it's often an instability in their hips. So I love this as a warm-up for a yoga sequence because it helps make sure that we are supporting our body as needed. All right, we have done a thoracic rotation and we have done a 90-90 for the hips. And then we're going to take just another quick moment to feel where we're at, feel how our body is feeling. Take a breath. You can stay seated. You can go to child's pose. All right, we're going to go into a flow. So first I'm going to tell you what the flow is so you know what to expect. We will go back to standing. We will we'll bring our arms up above our head, go into a forward fold. You can walk or hop out towards the like a plank position, and then we'll do a full chaturanga, or however you say it. I can never pronounce it right, but we'll do lower down in a push-up position, and then we will do the cobra pose, and then we will come back, and then we'll move into some of the warrior poses and low lunges. And the intent is to get both sides, but also to keep that flow going. And so we're going to go with our breath. Your breath may not be the same speed as mine. I will try to go a little bit slower, so you can make sure if you're needing to catch up. Also, I'm going to be talking through it, so that takes time and take some extra breath work. And then we'll do that, and we'll finish off by doing some more hip and shoulder and just thoracic rotations, so you know what to expect. All right, so we're going to come back up to standing. Start at the end of the mat. We're in that mountain pose. Again, take a breath or two. Do you notice any difference in your body from when you started? We're about 10 minutes of movement. 12, 11, it's hard to see from here. Arms up above your head, steeple pose. And forward fold. Half lift. When you do the half lift, you want a flat back. And then skip, hop, step out. Plank, shoulders over your wrists. Slow down. And then again, you can drop yourself if you need. And then for your cobra, you can do on your arms. It's hard to see, but I'm just on my forearms. Or you can do where your legs and your feet are flat on the ground, but you're having that stretch that might be too intense for your lower back. If it is, just stick with the cobra on your lower arms. And I'll go down here so you can see that. But it's like that. Whatever works for your lower back, because everybody's got their own stuff. And then, of course, the last one is more of an active, and your toes are tucked. And then back to plank, downward dog. Take a breath. Do your legs feel any different from before? If you need to, take a breath in and out, and then sink those heels to the floor if you can. And then bring your left foot up by your left hand. Make sure you get set so you are still up on your toes for your back. And then we're in a low lunge. So again, when you get set, make sure you're not off to the side. Make sure you have your hips towards the front. We're in a low lunge. back leg is active. And then we're going to bring our arms up over our head and down. You can have steeple pose. You can have your hands together in prayer. And then we're going to do one more rotation. And because this is so active, it is a little bit more difficult to maintain. And back to center. Balance. And then we're going to go into warrior. So back foot is parallel. The middle of your front heel should be parallel with the middle of your foot. And then we're not trying to have our hips at a weird spot. So you want to tuck your tailbone under. Have your legs in line as much as possible. And then down. Straighten your leg out. Side angle. And if you can do it, you can do a bind here where you go down into that low lunge. Oof, that shoulder. You've twisted around. I have not done a bind in a while, so it's not happening today. And then back to warrior 2. And then low lunge. Work on your balance. Arms up in the air. Go ahead and hold that for a few moments. One deep breath. Arms down on the floor. We're going to do one more full chaturanga. So slow all the way down and up. Tuck your toes, downward dog. Back to plank. Go ahead and bring that right leg up by your right foot. We're going to go into the low lunge. So again, your hips are centered towards the front. I don't know if you can see that. Have that parallel. Back leg is active. Arms up overhead. I like to do prayer over steeple here. And we'll do one more twist. And if you want in a twist, you can have where you're bringing your arms out, but I don't have the balance to even show you that, so good luck. And then we're going to go back into warrior. So back foot is back down and parallel. You have your hips tucked under. You're not trying to create that anterior tilt. That's balanced. You want to have your knee in line with your foot. And then you sink down into the warrior. And straighten your leg. Ooh, everything's popping today. And again, you can do a bind here, but my body's not going into a bind today. And then if that's too difficult, you can have your knee at the 90-degree angle and you can rest on that. But it depends on what you can do and how your body feels. Back into that lunge. Take a moment in this low lunge. See how you feel. And go ahead and drop down, and then we're going to go do one more chaturanga. So back into that plank. All the way down. Get that stretch. And then back into the downward dog. If you need to, you can take a break. So if you're going for the break, go ahead and push pause. But what that looks like is you can rest in child's pose where your arms are up above your head. You're getting that stretch in your lower back. You can also just kind of fold over and have your arms kind of tucked to the side like that. Or if you feel like being right on your ankles, on your knees like that, that can be painful for some people. And sometimes it's not comfortable with how our stomachs are. And so you can have your toes together knees spread wide, and then go into the child's pose. And that might be more comfortable with how your hips, knees, ankles, how all that feels. So it depends on what your body needs and then honoring what your body needs. So if you needed that break, take that pause, push pause. It's fine. We will get better. We will get stronger. We will get faster. We just all have to start somewhere. So if you push pause, welcome back. If you didn't push pause, we're going to keep going. So we're going to do a couple different ab ones. So I'm going to demonstrate hands and knees and work on some of that ab. You can go into a full plank and do it. Depends on your exercise capacity. And then I will also demonstrate on the floor. So we're going to do some bird dogs. So that is opposite arm, opposite leg, up and down, up and down. And for this, I want you to do it 10 times per side, so 20 total. And then if you are having any postpartum, so if no postpartum, this doesn't count for you, then keep going. If you are someone who has postpartum issues, doing it in the hands and knees or even the plank position is not going to be a great help for you as you're healing that pelvic floor and your abs. So you're going to go ahead and lay on your back. And we want to work on pulling our stomach. So look at your hip bones, put your hands on the hip bones. And this works for men too. If you have not had the practice of actually working on your abs, sometimes people have a hard time connecting to their abs. And so this can work for men too. It just depends on what experience you have. But you want to pull your hip bones. You want to think about them, touch them if you need to. That palpation can be very helpful. Pull them in and then up, and think about like zipping your stomach up towards your ribs. Holding that, don't clench your butt, and just hold that. If this is the first time you're actually connecting with your ab muscles, men or women, this is a great spot to be. Practice that for about a week, every day, multiple times a day, and you'll start to connect to those muscles. If you're like, hey, I can do it, let's keep going, great. We're going to go into bracing march. So braced march. And this will be helpful for women who have hiatus recti, they're early postpartum, or men or women who don't have the previous effort and connection with those abs and your deep core. So you're doing that brace march, and what your goal is to have completely stable hips and tummy. And each time you move that leg, there's complete control. There's no movement, even in your lower back. And you're able to extend your leg all the way out and then pull all the way back in. And again, if this is the first time you're doing it and that's what you're working on, work there and we'll progress up. If you have any questions about other ways to help connect to your abs and the deep core, then shoot me a message and I'd love to help you. So we did a quick flow. We did a warm-up. We did a quick flow. You can continue doing that flow if you want to do longer workouts. If you're new to this and you're just starting to work out again, doing 30 minutes or so for the first week or so is a great way to build into that. And we're going to go into some of the cool down sequences. And so again, another thoracic rotation. I really like to focus on these because most people don't do them in their day-to-day life, and we need that to avoid injury. And so you're laying flat on your back, legs are extended, arms are extended, and bring up, come over to the side. And then if you need to, if you lift your right leg up, have your left hand on your right knee as a way to help with that rotation and to pull that down. And then if you can do that and that feels comfortable, then look over to the right side and it will have just a little bit more of that rotation for your spine. And it should feel good. If it's painful, you want to back out of that. You don't want any of this to be painful. Discomfort is different than pain. And then come out of it, back to laying flat, kind of in a T position. Bring your left leg up, over to the side, right hand is on your left knee. Again, if that's comfortable, you're not in pain, you can look over towards the left arm. And then back to center. We're going to go ahead and lay on our tummies. And I'm going to lay this way so you can see. I'm going to go to our tummies and lay down. And then we're doing some chest stretching. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can come up on your fingertips and drop one shoulder at a time. So up on fingertips, your hips are on the ground. Drop that left shoulder. You should feel that stretch. And up and down. Again, you should feel that stretch, dropping one shoulder at a time. Another way you can go about this is you can have your arm out at a T position. You can do this against the wall too, at a T, or kind of like that goalpost. I like the T position. And then get situated so it's comfortable on your chest, but bring your left arms out to the side, bring your right leg up, have that rotation. You should be feeling it a little bit in your hips, okay, but it should be a full stretch across the front of your chest and your arm. So there's a couple ways to go about it. Depends on what you want for your body. And down, and then again, arm out to the side, left leg up and over. Have that stretch. You should feel it in your chest. If it hurts too much or it's too intense, go ahead and back out of it. All right, we worked on our chest. We're going to do the last one. Men and women, hips is always a really big thing for people. So we're going to do the very last one, and it's going to be pigeon. And so we're going to go up on our hands and knees. Bring your left foot up to your right wrist, and then bring it back down. You can stay up in this high position. Your right leg should be straight back behind you. If you can, and I cannot, you can sink down and have your butt on the floor or your hip on the floor. Another option is to have a block that can help you with. I stay in that upright position, and then you want to sink down as far as possible with your hips, and if you can, you want to lean forward. So it changes the angle on what you're stretching. And then I just want you to take a few, we're going to do this for like a whole minute, so take some breaths. If you need a block, put a block under that hip. And then lean down if you need to go down further. You can lay flat, you can have your elbows on the floor, depends on what feels good for you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and come out. So we're gonna go back to plank, tuck your right foot, and you can come out of that. And then again, switch sides. So right foot up by your left wrist. Get that as straight as you can. Back leg is straight and strong. And we'll hold that for about a minute. And then same thing, if you can, and however your body can handle it, if you need a block under that back hip, put a block under it. If you feel like this is comfortable and you can handle it, go ahead and sink lower onto your elbows or laying flat. Whatever works and feels comfortable in your body. You want to sit there for just a few more seconds longer. And go ahead and come out of that, back into downward dog, and then come back to your knees. And then that is our 30-minute sequence. You can finish that off by laying on your back, taking a few moments, putting on a gentle song where you can calm down, lower your heart rate, take a few moments of deep breathing if needed. Depends on what you want. And then stay tuned. We will add more videos, or I will add more videos. But this is a starting point. This should not be where you stay forever. And if you are new to yoga and exercising, I want you to have a starting point where you can start feeling where you're at in your body, connecting back with your body and your breath work, and then also start working on some of the basic movements and rotations. So as we progress and get things more difficult, you feel like your body is ready for that as opposed to jumping into something that you haven't prepared for. So have a good day.